Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, January 24th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. And you know what that means. It's BTA Fridays. And, we're still basking in the glow of the national championship. And I have a PSA for everybody. I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to get J-Book's thoughts on that. We're also going to talk about the crazy parallels between 2014 and 2024 for the Buckeyes, obviously ending pretty good both years, national championships. But both teams were left for dead at multiple times. 2014 team goes on to win the first iteration of the 4-team playoff. 10 years later, 2024 team also left for dead multiple times, wins the first iteration of the 12-team playoff. And then just the magical postseason run. And J-Book had a good idea for a topic. Which coaching job was better? Kind of like picking between your kids, right? But like both of them are phenomenal. Which postseason coaching job was better? The three-game run in 2014 where they had to go through Alabama. Well, they first had to go through Wisconsin. Wisconsin was favored in that game. Ohio State wins 59-0. So what was a better coaching job, 2014 or 2024? Before we get to that, I have a PSA, but I also going to let you guys know about Mando. I love Mando. I never leave home without it. I'm telling you guys, I'm not joking. It's phenomenal. And try it. Give it a try. Like if you've been using the same deodorant for a long time, give it a try. I guarantee you'll like it. And Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant. Easy for me to say. That's what this is. The cream tube deodorant. I really like that. I like this scent, Pro Sport. You get 2 free products of your choice on top of that and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code BUCKNUTS at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. I mean, J-Book, it was a long night in that press box. But I had my Mando on, so I didn't have to worry about it. Man, good to see you on a BTA Friday, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, it feels good to wake up on a Friday, man, and talk to you as national champions.
Isn't it great, man? I mean, obviously it's great. It's just, it still feels like it happened yesterday. Like I'm still on cloud 9. And I'm glad you brought that up because I see a lot of people focus. I mean, I'll just use our Bucknuts message board. I'll throw us under the bus. Like you get on the front row message board, and a lot of people are celebrating stuff, and there's stories about the national championship. But there's, a few too many threads about like not complaining, but worrying about stuff. And I get it to an extent. We don't want to lose Jim Knowles, and I have no breaking news for that. By the way, and if I did, I might not anyway because I want everybody to enjoy the national championship. No. I really don't have any breaking news on that. I understand people want to keep Jim Knowles. I understand we want to keep Carnell Tate. I understand all of that. Can we just enjoy the national championship, though? Everybody, Buckeye Nation, please, can we just enjoy the national championship? And I don't just mean for the rest of this week. Like for longer than that. Whatever happens in 2025 happens. Like it's so damn hard to win a national championship, as we all know. It's so hard to win one. If you would have told us after the Michigan game that they were going to win the national championship, we would have been blown away. They did it. Let's just soak it in. J-Book, am I on my soapbox a little bit too much, or are people right to be worried about stuff like Knowles? And I know people are back and walk and chew gum at the same time. I get that, but just bask in the glow is my advice, Buckeye Nation.
I 1000% agree with you, Dave. Like right now, I'm like you said it perfectly. I'm on cloud 9 right now. I mean, like you mentioned, you go on the Bucknuts message board, you go on, Twitter X, and they haven't even had the championship parade. You already got Ohio State fans right back to fighting with each other. You got fans pulling receipts on other Ohio State fans starting fights. Like,
yes,
good Lord, like. You just won a national championship. Enjoy it. Have a smile on your face. Why would you want to be fighting with other Ohio State fans? And it hasn't even been a week since they've hosted the gold trophy. I mean, Jim Knowles can leave tomorrow. Carnell Tate can leave tomorrow. But you know what? This is Ohio State. you better believe coming off a national championship run, the perception that Ohio State is absolutely loaded with cash, you will have a line down the Woody Hayes facility of defensive coordinators who would be on their knees begging to take this job. Ryan Day will have his pick of the litter when it comes to replacing Jim Knowles, because if you look at it, Knowles is already one of the top paid coordinators in all of college football. I think he got like what, $500,000 or something like that bonus. I mean, between Ryan Day and all of the coaches for winning the national championship, there's $5 million bonuses right there according to their contracts that are going back to them. So Ohio State's going to pay you extremely well. You're going to be loaded with talent. You do well, you're going to be able to either parlay that into a head coaching job or NFL job or something like that. But I don't get all of the freaking out. I mean, if Carnell Tate goes to Oregon, guess what? You have Brandon Ennis here. You have Mylan Graham. You have Quincy Porter coming in. The last thing that you should be worrying about is Brian Hartline's room, because you better believe he's going to have stud after stud ready to go. I mean, just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like, don't fight with each other. Not even a week after. I mean, give it some time.
You took it a step further, and you're so right. Like, I wasn't even going to go there with the infighting. Like, see, I told you that this was going to happen, but you said this. It's like, come on, we're Buckeyes. Can we just soak in the national championship? I was just talking more about, and I get it to an extent. Trust me, I'm a diehard sports fan of my teams. I get it. I know people, as I said, can walk and chew gum at the same time, but this is not the time for that. Don't pick one. Whether walking is the national championship or chewing gum is, pick one and just chomp on that gum if that's winning the national championship, because it's so hard to win one. Like, they went 34 years between undisputed national championships, 68 to 02, and then another 12 years till 2014, and then 10 years. I mean, hopefully it's not another 10 years, but it might be longer than that. So soak it in, my friends.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and then maybe just take the pressure off. Maybe they'll repeat, but don't expect it. Don't expect it.
Think about it, Dave. I mean, you and I have been doing our Friday shows for what? At least over a decade. Like, going back past the 2014 season when they won the national championship. And so for us to be able to go through that many Fridays without seeing a national championship trophy, to have them bring it back to Columbus right now, like that feeling, knowing that you have a whole off season of talking smack to everybody else in college football. But it just blows my mind that the first thing that Ohio State fans decide to do is, let's go pull up receipts from other Ohio State fans who were highly emotional after losing an epic collapse against Michigan. Let's pull those receipts up to bang on them instead of let's celebrate the victory and the milestone that this program has accomplished.
Yeah, you could say like 100 nice things about somebody, that could. But if you said one thing in the heat of the moment, that'll get like, well, you said that though. Yeah, but I said this 100 times. Yeah, I might have said something. Like, are we new to sports here? No one said anything in the heat of the moment that they regret watching a sporting event, especially if your team just had a absolutely dreadful performance. So whatever, man. Just Buckeye Nation, spread the gospel. Enjoy the national championship. The gospel of Buckeye Nation.
If you want to fight with Michigan fans, I'm all for it.
There you go. Oh, I'm all. Oh, yeah. I love stirring that up. People are like, yeah, I like to have fun on X. Like, it's not supposed to be serious business. It's I like stirring it up and giving those guys a little because they have no comeback for certain things. I want to give Buckeye fans a handbook to how to deal with Michigan fans right now. It's like there's a lot of options on the table. They all work. They don't like if you say, you know what, thank you for waking us up. We appreciate that. And please tell your friends and family and everybody, thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. They don't like that. They don't like, hey, I can't believe our plan of intentionally losing to your terrible team worked just to make everybody like Tennessee think that we sucked. But it worked. National champs. And your one national championship this century is pretty cool. It has the asterisks and everything. We've got 3, no asterisks. So they don't like that. So, they bought a team. You guys bought a team. It's like Ohio State brought in 5 transfers, okay? Less than you guys brought in. And what was the crux of your national bringing everybody back for their senior year? So who bought a team? You guys brought in more transfers than Ohio State did. I just gave you guys the handbook of how to deal with our friends from up north.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hey, now I just tell them, what do you want? Brownie points? Congratulations. You got no trophy. You got no rings to show for it. And you got a marshmallow bowl that you were able to win down south. So, hey, congratulations.
At least they were
The
able to embarrass.
championship is in Columbus.
That's right. That big trophy, it's going around town right now. Like, we're going to have the different businesses are having it around town. The team's going out there. Like, Will Howard went out to like a Kroger or a Giant Eagle or something. You think fans like that? We're going to party like we're rock stars at noon on Sunday at the Horseshoe J-Book. I wish you were a Columbus resident because I know you'd be there. That's when the celebration is, my friends, if you haven't heard. I'm sure you have. But if one person out there hasn't heard, I'm glad we can let you know. Horseshoe, Sunday, noon. Get there early because free admission and free parking mean it's going to be chaotic, but it's going to be fun. So get there, my friends. All right, let's get to the crux of the show here. I mean, again, it's crazy to think the parallels of those two national championships, as I mentioned at the top of the show. But what do you think, man? This was your idea for a topic. I think it's a great topic. What was the better coaching job? The postseason of 2014, after they had to get Cardale Jones in there and they had to go through Wisconsin, Alabama, and Oregon, underdogs in all of those games, or this year, Left for Dead had to run a gauntlet of 4 games. They were favored in all of them, but still, they almost had that underdog mentality. What was the better coaching job?
Man, I've been going back and forth, Dave, over the last day
Right.
since I've messaged you and say, hey, this would kind of be interesting to talk about. I think I got to go with the 2014 coaching job, and not to take anything away from this year, because that run that they went on this year to win the playoff, it was by far the hardest route, and it was epic. And this is why I say the 2014 is because of the quarterback situation, Dave. You go into that Michigan game, JT gets hurt, Cardale comes in, they get out of that Michigan game. So now it's, hey, you got to not only beat Wisconsin, but you got to beat the brakes off of them. And to go into that Wisconsin, and at the time, Melvin Gordon was a Heisman finalist, running back. I think he was like the Big Ten Player of the Year or something like that. And they just went into the Indianapolis and just demolished them. And then you're thinking, and I remember being at that game and everybody's chanting, "We want Bama, we want Bama," like in the crowd. And you have to think that was like one of the vintage Nick Saban. And you have to, a lot of people don't remember at the time, like the atmosphere surrounding that 2014 season, like the SEC was the be all end all, and Nick Saban was on top of that throne. And the narrative surrounding the program at the time was that Ohio State couldn't beat the SEC. And you had to go, everyone knew you had to go through Alabama to do it. And at that Alabama roster, I think they had Derrick Henry, Amari Cooper, Landon, what's his name? Landon something, the safety. Landon Collins, the safety, and they were absolutely loaded with NFL talent.
They didn't have a good quarterback.
They didn't have a good quarterback at the time. But
and
you
they let him throw the ball a lot instead of handing the ball to Derrick Henry. I still love Lane Kiffin for that. Yeah. How about we let Blake Sims throw the ball like 30 times and we give Derrick Henry like 14 carries or something? I'm like, yeah, why don't you do that? Mix in a little TJ Yeldon. Make sure you don't give Derrick Henry the ball too much. Love it.
And so you look at that 2014 game, Dave, and the tension was just, you can cut it, you can just feel it, because it was like, are we good enough with Cardale to go and knock off the SEC champs and the vintage Nick Saban team down south, kind of like in SEC territory? And to win that game and then come back for the national championship and play against the Heisman Trophy winner with Marcus Mariota. And that Oregon team at the time, they were pretty loaded with NFL talent as well. I just think that run right there was probably, in my mind, because of there's so much uncertainty at the quarterback position going into there. And then the way that they won was just absolutely physically just demolish Alabama. I think that one right there, but this run right here that they have, it's going to go down in history, Buckeye history, as one of the best runs because of how many top 10 ranked teams that they had to beat to get there. What do you think, 2014 or this year, Dave?
I think you should keep talking because I was hoping by the time you were done, I'd make my decision, and I still haven't. I joked in the title or the description of the show, said you can't answer yes. You have to pick one or the other. I agree with you. I think if you had to pick one, it would be 2014. Both are phenomenal coaching jobs because of mentally where Ohio State had to be. I mean, in both cases, but like especially this year's team, and then having to navigate what they had to navigate. Just everything they did. I mean, that's why I don't want to pick against this year, but I also don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I mean, the Alabama game is still probably one of the coolest things I've covered because that just felt like, oh, wow, like they just beat Alabama like in the South, like that with the third string quarterback, like holy crap. And Zeke's 85 yards through the heart of the South. I'll give 11 Warriors props for that. That phrase that we all use with the T-shirt. Jack scoop and score against Texas in Texas will be right there with that. Holy Buckeye, right there with that. What do those three plays have all in common? Came during years of national championships. So, but I have to give it to 2014, man. I have to. It's very close, but I have to give it to 2014.
Mike Schaefer here in the chat also put up a good point. He says, don't forget about the suicide that ignited the fire in 2014 with Costas.
Kara George.
Yeah, and so at that time, that was a big thing because he was missing. Nobody knew where he was at, and then when they unfortunately found him unalive, that right there was kind of something that brought the program down to their knees. You're having to go bury one of your brothers and then have to get your mind right to make an epic run. Kind of adds to the layer of that story of the 2014 season. And then you keep in mind too, we worry about, people are worrying about Jim Knowles. At that time, Tom Herman had already taken the Houston job, and pretty much. And so we're going through that run, and Tom Herman, everybody knows Tom Herman's out of there because they won either Alabama or the national championship game, and he's out there on the field with the Houston hat on, trying to jumpstart his recruiting. So that just kind of tells you, like, if you have success as far as coaches, you're going to lose them. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, let's say they kept Knowles for another year and then left him or lost him or something, like, and they fell short of the national title next year. Like, okay, like, soak in the national title, my friends. I'll always appreciate Tom Herman for that national championship. Always will. And you're right. He did. He took that job. Even before that, the fight. I don't think he took it after they won the Big Ten championship, I think. So, we knew against Alabama. I remember talking to him down there about telling him I appreciated what he did. And that's before they even beat Alabama. I really appreciate whatever happens with Jim Knowles, I appreciate what he did. He already accomplished what he came here to accomplish. Yeah. Number one defense in the country, win a national championship. Check. All right. Did he have really good players? Yes. But, I mean, scheme matters, and we saw what happened when they adjusted the scheme midseason. They turned into just an absolute wrecking crew.
Let's talk about Jim Knowles for a quick second.
Cool.
What do you think? I mean, the Oklahoma thing's kind of weird because
it is.
If you go over to their board, they're not even 100% confident that Venables will even be there next year. I mean, there's a lot of people that are not happy with his performance. There's a lot of talk on their board about how he managed the players, probably could have reduced a lot of the injuries that they had that derailed their season. And I think one of their posters made a good point, and they're saying our issue is not even defense. I mean, we fielded a top 15 defense. We need a Jim Knowles type of hire on the offensive side of the football because our offense has been atrocious. That's the thing that's really holding them back. And so they're like, how much better would the defense get from, 15 to top 5 if that's the case? I mean, the margins are pretty slim. But the one thing that you also have to keep in mind, and we all witnessed this with Jim Knowles, that's not an overnight overhaul type of defense that you're going to expect to be a national championship caliber defense. Even with all of the talent and the resources that he had at Ohio State, it took him several years, even a midseason change this year, to get the defense to where it was playing lights out. Because you remember the knock on Jim Knowles with their first couple years was he was just giving up chunk plays like ridiculous. And that probably, I mean, people can argue it probably cost Ohio State a national championship against Georgia because you're up 17 points late in that game, and the defense just had an epic collapse. But they were good. They were much better, much better compared to what we had with Kerry Combs and Barnes. So he did an excellent job getting the defense to get better year after year after year. When you look at a place like Oklahoma, who's probably on borrowed time, does he have a 3-year window? Can they get the athletes that he needs in order to build that defense up to a championship caliber defense in the SEC? Because at Oklahoma State, once again, it wasn't an overnight type of overhaul. It took him several years at Oklahoma State to build that into a top 10 defense. And that was consistent of 4th year, 5th year, even some 6th-year guys because of COVID. That's one of the reasons why his defense was really stout at Oklahoma State. So I don't know if Brent Venables has a short leash here, does that make sense for him career-wise to go to a place like Oklahoma?
I'll give my thoughts on Knowles in just a moment. Spoiler, they mirror a lot of what Mr. J Book just said. I'll let you guys know about Factor Meals. You've heard me talk about it a lot. I highly recommend Factor Meals. Factor has high-quality, great-tasting, healthy meals that are fresh and never frozen. They're ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess, nothing to clean up. It's awesome. In addition to all of their meals like blackened salmon or filet mignon, Factor can help you feel your best all day long with smoothies and many other snacks and add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that cannot be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/bucknuts50off. Use code bucknuts50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's pretty good. Half off plus free shipping. It's code bucknuts50off at factormeals.com/bucknuts50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Highly, highly recommended. Factor Meals. Great stuff. All right, my thoughts on Knowles. You nailed it. I mean, we talked about it, What We Learned Live, which I don't know if that feels like it was last night or like 2 weeks ago. I don't know. It's just weird. Doing it from the stadium, that was really cool. I'm glad Dan was able to really appreciate Dan Rubin leading off and hosting the show for the first half hour plus, and appreciate all you guys coming on and adding your knowledge. You nailed it though, man. I mean, like, hitching your wagon to Brent Venables that's a risky venture to say the least, because if he has one more bad year, as you articulated, these Oklahoma boosters are going to want him out. Oh, then he's then he'd be right there ready to take over as head coach. Like, do you think Oklahoma is going to promote the assistant of the guy who had such a bad year that they just fired him? I mean, I know Ohio State basketball did that, but they take their football pretty serious at Oklahoma. And I've heard a couple of things here. We know about the girlfriend situation. People are like, well, just move the girlfriend. Like, but it's not that simple. She has kids. I don't know. I've heard all this secondhand. I haven't heard this firsthand. But like, sounds like she has kids and she doesn't want to move her kids. That's very understandable. All right. It's easy to say, well, just move her and her kids to Columbus. If she doesn't want to. She's a mom. Yeah. I've also heard J Book. So there's that. That's at play, and she lives in Oklahoma City. There's also I've heard that maybe this is just Jim Knowles' agent, kind of just trying to like get the bidding up. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna stay, but I don't know.
It's just a weird situation, and it's a lot of secondhand. Like the whole thing between Knowles and Carnell Tate, it's all like secondhand noise, because if Jim Knowles' sister's on X, and she says that the girlfriend loves it in Columbus, and the girlfriend chimes in like saying, "Hey, thanks, Paula,"
I didn't know
and
that.
everything. And
that's interesting.
And so I think some people are kind of overblowing that talk there. Now you go to the Oklahoma boards. Who knows what's real over there, because they're saying that Jim Knowles was the one who initiated the conversation. They have a mod over there saying several weeks ago, Venables and Knowles had they met in New York or something like that, and to start off kind of the initial conversation. So who knows what's true, what's not true, coming from their end. And then, the Carnell Tate thing, that kid hasn't said one word. The last thing that you really heard about him was the national championship game, telling Brian Hartline, you better not go anywhere. And then a flyer pops up last night with a Caleb Downs and Carnell Tate football camp that they're going to be hosting locally or something like that. So it's like, okay, if this kid's really leaving, is he willing to host a local football camp? I mean, I don't know. It's just all kind of weird. Like I just sit back and watch everybody freaking out, Dave, because like I said, right now I'm so high off that national championship. I'm just like, whatever. If he goes, hey, thank you for bringing the top defense to Columbus, helping to be a stalwart with getting the national championship. I wish you nothing but the best. My next question will be, all right, who's going to come in that's going to bring in a multi-front 3-4 type of elements defense, who's going to be able to use all of the athletic bodies that you have that are younger guys that needs to be developed. Now let's start talking about who are the potential candidates and will they be bringing in some of their guys. And there's a lot of talk. The assistant D-line coach, he interviewed with Texas, and he has a job offer from Texas on right now that where he can be an on the field coach. So they're going to have to make a decision if they want to. What's Larry going to do? Will Larry ride off into the sunset after winning another national championship, or does he want to stick around? Considering that you have a young and up and coming, very talented assistant D-line coach that probably should be, on the staff right now, but there's not a whole lot of room, and Texas is making a play for him. So this is just par for the course. You look at Nick Saban, Dave. I mean, the turnover that he had at Alabama when he was making his runs, it was every single year. I mean, you saw it every year as far as coaches coming and going. Like I said earlier, it's just the nature of the beast.
Terry says Bucknuts Morning 5 has turned into ET Sporting Channel drama. I don't know if he's talking about people in the chat. I'm saying it's the opposite, friend. We're saying don't freak out. Bask. Exactly what J-Book and I have been talking about all show. I'm glad, as usual, we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, we'd rather have Carnell Tate stay, and I think he will. Yeah, we want Jim Knowles to stay, and I think he will. But if they don't, do we lose the national championship? Because last time I checked, we don't. Like, don't freak out. Bask.
We're trying to tell people not to freak out. Don't
freak out. Now you got to explain yourself after saying that. Terry, we love you, Terry. But what do you mean it's turned into drama? No. This is a drama-free zone. We're trying to and tell your friends and family. Don't ask me about Jim Knowles. Let's talk.
These are nothing but national championship vibes, Dave, on a Friday.
That's right. I mean, just people say, "What do you think is going to happen with Jim Knowles?" I don't know. What do you think of that kill shot pass from Will Howard to Jeremiah Smith? We talk about that. What do you think about Will Howard starting out 12 of 12? What do you think Cody Simon turned into an absolute werewolf? How about that girl slamming the golf cart into the wall? Let me done talking about the national championship game for a long time. Like,
before we get out of here, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Watching that national championship game, when did you think Ohio State was going to win? Because you and I we were both confident going into the game. But
I didn't put my drive home safely on Twitter then, but I'll tell you exactly when. And I said it all along. I said if Ohio State gets up 2 scores in the first half, this game is over. And another parallel so I thought that was over at 21-7 when right before halftime when Quinshawn caught up 21-7 game over, especially with Notre Dame getting up 7-0 and Ohio State just coming at you in waves and just dominating from there on both sides. 21-7, it felt like the game was over. I was wrong, it wasn't. But that's another parallel with 2014, man. Now, this isn't what I'm talking about, but my seat in the press box is almost exactly where I was sitting in Jerry World, both beautiful stadiums. Oregon takes the ball in 2014, early 2015, I know, goes right down the field, away from where I was sitting, scores a touchdown, 7-0. It's like, oh, boy. Same thing, Notre Dame. Takes the ball, goes right, and they were going the opposite direction, 7-0. Oh, boy. And then we know what happened from there. I did turn to Patrick Murphy after that drive, when people were like, oh, no. I was like, I did say he's my witness. I said, running the quarterback 9 times in one drive against this defense is going to get you killed. Swear to God, 2 minutes later, the press box announcer's like, Riley Leonard seen vomiting on the sideline, and he's over there. He's like trying to scrape himself up. I'm like, see, it took them one drive to knock the crap out of that kid. But he's tough as heck. He came back. Yeah. He's tough as heck. But Yeah, man. I lost my train of thought there. What were you talking about?
We were talking about when the moment when we knew that Ohio State was going to
21-7.
win.
I thought it was over. It was going on halftime. You know, we had Chick-fil-A in the press box, ice cream. I'm like, this game's over. This game is over. They're toast. And then Quinshawn has the long run, and they get the punt, the fake punt, and then a long field goal from Fielding. It's 31-7. Definitely it's over then, right? Now Notre Dame came back.
I tell you when I knew Ohio State was going to win after Notre Dame scored the opening drive.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because usually when you come into these games, and you and I have talked about it so many times, when you start a game, what do you usually have? An opening script. And the opening script of plays, those are your type of plays like, hey, we've practiced these plays for the last week and a half, so we should be very efficient in getting out of the huddle and getting these plays down. The fact that it took them 18 plays, 9 quarterback runs, beat the living hell out of their own quarterback,
right,
just to get a touchdown, my mind frame automatically is like, oh, that's all you got? That's your opening script? And it took you 18 plays, and it took a heroic effort from your quarterback who's now throwing up. I'm like, oh, if that's all they got, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And then right when Ohio State came back and answered, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, they don't got the offense. I'm like, oh, if Ohio State gets to at the time, I was thinking to myself, because my score was like 31-20. That was my score prediction when we did the show last Friday. And
you picked Ohio State to win by 11. You picked Ohio State to win by 11. How much did they win by?
11. But nice work, my mind frame was like, okay, they took 10 minutes off the clock, and they had to fight and claw just to get into the end zone on 18 plays where they couldn't run the ball with anybody else. They couldn't throw the football. And I'm thinking to myself at the time, Ohio State just needs to score 17 points, and that's a wrap, because there's no way they're going to be able to sustain this type of effort. So that opening drive, to me, that was my cue to say, oh, we got this one.
Great house kept him. It really kept him in the game. This game was over at 31-7. Notre Dame had a third and like 19. They threw it down, almost like a mini Hail Mary. They called a real ticky-tack penalty on Ohio State, kind of let him back. And the Emeka fumble, I don't give Emeka fault for that. He was this close to being down. That was a nice play by Notre Dame. Give Riley Leonard a lot of credit. That kid, I'm surprised he didn't end up in the hospital Ken Dorsey style. He's tough, and great house has proven to be a great receiver, so hats off to him. Hats off to you, my friend. Great stuff as always. I'll get you out of here. Thank you, Jay Book.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week, Dave.
Yes, sir. BTA Fridays. It's always great having Jay Book.
Hey.
All right. I'll get answer a few questions here, and then we'll get this show wrapped up. But before I get to some of your questions, I'll let you guys know about Rocket Money. You guys probably know about Rocket Money. I've been talking about Rocket Money, and they're blowing up. Their commercials are all over the place. I love it. The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, prioritize what matters most. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place and help me easily cancel ones that I forgot I've been paying for. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gameon today. That's rocketmoney.com/gameon. rocketmoney.com/gameon. There you go. All right. So you're just joining us. Please enjoy the national championship and spread that word to your friends. If you're on a message board, or you're on social media. I see too many people that are just focused on, things that we want to happen, like keep Knowles and keep Carnell Tate, but like just that can't be at the forefront when we're still soaking in a national championship. It's so damn hard to win a national championship. Enjoy it, Buckeye Nation. I know most of you are. I love this. I'm not worried about it. Like Jim Knowles, if he does leave, came here to do what he was brought here to do. It's not like it's not like he came here for 1 year. It reminded me a lot of Mark D'Antonio, even though D'Antonio came here with Jim Tressel at the start of Tressel's era. How long did D'Antonio stay? 3 years. Buckeye fans always loved him and appreciated him because he won a national championship. Now, when he was at Michigan State, did Ohio State fans root for him and he was playing Ohio State? Hell no. But I'm sure most of you love Dino, right? Because he was only here 3 years, won a national championship, legend in Columbus forever. Despite ended up being Michigan State's head coach and ruining at least two of Ohio State seasons, 2013 and 2015. Although that 2013 defense was awful. They weren't going to win anything. They almost lost to a terrible Michigan team. Tyvis Powell year. Tyvis saved the game with that interception on the 2-point conversion. Ohio State would have lost to a really bad Brady Hoke team. They won 42-41 in Ann Arbor. At least they won. Ohio State was favored by a lot in that game. We know how that works. Sometimes they're favored by a lot and they don't win. Oh, too soon? Sorry. You're right. Focus on the national championship game. Win. Just take my own advice. I was just trying to have a little fun there, actually. So, how many times have you guys rewatched the game? Because now I have like full access. I've rewatched it like way too much, and I love it. I love it. It's what the best thing is. Like you kind of forget these certain. You know of so many big plays, and we all know there's so many like crucial plays in that game. There's like things people don't even talk about. Like Ohio State's third play of the game was big. What was it, like 3rd and 4? They throw a little pass to Jeremiah. He's about a yard short. He had to of course he's so strong. He ended up getting the first down by 2 yards. But if they go 3 and out there, they don't get that first down. That's not good. Instead, they just get the first down, and then the big Scarlet Machine gets going. It was really, really, really cool. Yeah, and if you also are just joining us, the celebration, as I'm sure you guys know, is Sunday at the Horseshoe. Get there early. It'll be chaotic. Free parking, Buckeye fans. I don't think it's going to be like there's going to be 100,000 people. This is so cool. I've covered 2 of these. This is my 3rd time covering one of these. I love that. Picked a good year to start on the beat, 2002. And so it's really, really cool because we've talked about it's so hard to win a national championship. The fact they've won now 3 this century is awesome. Hopefully they win another next year, but if they don't, we'll worry about that then. We're going to soak this up. All right. So some other offseason stories I want to get into. I did a depth chart. Anybody can read it. I did my projected depth chart for the offense yesterday, and I love doing these. And this offensive line is going to be deep. They brought in the 2 transfers. The one that I really like, the kid from Rice, Onyanwa. He's a big guy, 6'6", 350. Everybody thinks that he should have turned. Not everybody. We don't. Thinks he should have turned pro. Would have been a 2nd-round pick. Said he's here. He's going to be left tackle day 1. They also brought in Daniels from Minnesota. I don't know if he's a lock to be a starter. He'll compete at right tackle, but they've got options, man. They've got because it was an odd blessing, not a blessing in disguise. You didn't want to lose Seth McLaughlin, the best center in the country, and Josh Simmons. Now everybody's projecting him as a 1st-round pick. But what it did was it was a blessing in disguise for the 2025 team because guys that would never have played, like Luke Montgomery, all of a sudden now are starters because of that. Carson Hinsman wasn't playing. He became a starter. You go from not playing to being a starter on a national championship team and being a key cog in, because Ohio State didn't lose the battle of the line of scrimmage. They didn't win it on every play, but they walked away from each game. They won the battle of the line of scrimmage on both lines. I was just hoping for stalemates from the offensive line. The offensive line outplayed every defensive line that they faced, which is crazy. Down maybe your 2 best, although Donovan Jackson has to be considered one of the 3 best. You can just take your pick. Those are your top 3 offensive linemen, and they were down 2 of them. Donovan Jackson kicking out to left tackle, really the unsung hero of the team. Maybe he's sung, because I've heard a lot of people mention it. He's the sung hero of the team. No, but I get it, though, because everybody's talking about your usual suspects as these guys were the stars of the team. But what Donovan Jackson did is phenomenal. And not just moving out there to left tackle, but playing at a high level. Like PFF graded him really high. And then the young guys like Sierreveld, and Tegra, like kind of splitting duties with, and then Luke playing mostly. When Luke was in there, he was playing left guard. But sometimes Austin would slide over there. Austin's going left guard, right guard. That's not as easy as people think. Carson might be better suited at guard, but he played well at center. They got Josh Padilla, who's on the come up. He could be the center. They could move Hinsman to guard, but they've got so much depth at guard. We'll see. Tegra, I think, obviously can play guard. Might they try him at right tackle to compete with Daniels? What about Ian Moore? What about the Armstrong twins, who I interviewed down at Atlanta? And some of the comments were hilarious. I didn't know the Armstrong twins were 40 years old. Hilarious. They're really, really, really good kids, and they've filled out. Didn't take Mick Marotti long to have them fill out. I don't think they're going to be ready as redshirt freshmen, but maybe they will be. I like that they're at least going to provide depth. Ian Moore's a guy to keep an eye on. He'll be a redshirt freshman. Padilla will be a third-year sophomore. That class has turned out to be pretty good with offensive linemen. With, you already have Luke, who was a starter during the CFP run. You had Austin, starter in the CFP run. Those guys, maybe Tegra technically started but Austin played starter minutes. All three of those guys I consider starters: Tegra, Austin, Luke. You got Hinsman, you got Tegra, you got all these guys. But those guys that were in their second year this year will be in their third year now. That turned out to be a pretty good little O-line recruiting class, because I think Padilla is going to be good. And we know Austin and Luke have already contributed in their second year. And those guys will be going into their third year. Ian Moore's a big boy. I had a chance to interview him at Media Day down there. These are young offensive linemen. Carter Lowe is going to be coming in here. You can't really project a true freshman offensive lineman to do much, but he's a big-time recruit. You've got good depth on this offensive line. You get the 2 transfers, and because of the injuries, all these other guys that had to play, they're bringing them now all back. You are losing Donovan Jackson and Josh Fryer, in addition to the 2 guys that were hurt, McLaughlin and Simmons, but still, it's a lot of guys you're bringing back with experience. Then you bring in the 2 transfers who have a lot of experience. It's a good situation, and Justin Fry did a great job. I know Dan and the boys talked about this extensively on yesterday's pod, but Justin Fry, fantastic job. So, I was doing that. So get on Bucknuts. It's free. You can read our projected depth chart for next season, and some sneaky depth there on the offensive line. I really, really like it. So thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. We're going to close the show now. Thanks to Jay Book. You guys know what time it is. He always comes strong on a BTA Friday. So thank you to Jonah Booker. Thanks again to all of you. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. I hope to see you at the Horseshoe on Sunday, Bucknutters. Go Bucks.